car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.
And who better to tell you about low overhead country than the owner of that fine establishment? I refer, of course, to our buddy, our friend, and the owner, Iven Streckel, who is here ready, willing, and certainly more than able to take any inquiries from you. If you would like to give us a call, let me give you that phone number, 478-3116, 478-3116, and you will be connected as if by magic to Iven Streckel. Good morning, Iven.
Hey, Don. Thanks so much for the introduction. And here we go again. This is the Frontier Motor Show, and we've been doing the show for Don and I almost 20-some years. We've been in business for 21 years, and we started right after we opened our doors at Frontier Motors to do this radio show. And we've also recently, when I say recently, I'm talking about maybe 18 years ago, have started taping this for our Blab TV customers. So if you're watching this on TV, obviously it's not live. We do the show in the morning twice a week, and we videotape it twice a month for our TV subscribers. And if you're watching this, I appreciate you watching the show. And this show is not about a single car that we're selling at Frontier Motors. It is about a premise of how we do business differently at Frontier Motors than most other car dealerships in the Pensacola area. There's over 120 car dealerships in Santa Rosa and Escambia County. That's a lot of car dealerships, so we're just one in a mix of over 120. So we have to do things differently to be successful. And fortunately, based on our customer reviews and based on the customers that come in and repeat buying a car from us, we have become the number one independent dealership in the whole South right now, with having 350 cars, sometimes 400 cars in stock, and selling between 200 and 250 cars a month. We rotate our inventory so fast, and that is all because the people that have been listening to the show and the people that have been watching the show come in to ask for free advice, and that's what we offer. I wrote down some of the things that we do at Frontier Motors. I think that we do differently than other car dealerships, and one of them is the fact that we offer free appraisals on cars that you're looking at other car dealerships or private individual. A lot of people go on Craigslist if they're looking for a car because it's free. So people will advertise their car on Craigslist. I still think I'm a little bit apprehensive about somebody putting their car on Craigslist because especially if it's dark out and they're coming over to test drive your car, but that's a whole different subject. So what I talk about a little bit is that if you find a car on Craigslist, let me do the appraisal for you. Let me give me the ID number if you can. And what I'll do is I will give you our opinion. Number one, if it's a good car, bad car, based on the make and model that you're looking at. Number two, what should that car cost in real money? And I'm not talking about book value. You can call your banker and get a book value on a car, but that's not necessarily what you pay. The bankers use an NEDA value, which, by the way, I have that book also. But what we do at Frontier Motors differently, we get what I call the real value, and the real value I get based on what's going on at the auctions. If I know I can buy a car at the auction, for example, for $20,000, I would tell you that a fair price would be somewhere between $22,000 and $23,000 because that is what I would be able to sell that car for at a profit, even after paying the expenses to get the car back to the dealership, which includes transportation, the auction fee, the buyer's fee, and any type of service that you would have to do. So these are things that we can help you with to make sure that you don't pay too much. Now, again, this is whether you're buying a car from a used car dealership, a private individual, maybe a relative, or you just want to know the value of your car. The second thing we do for you also, especially if you get the ID number of the car, is we can do a free Carfax and a free auto check report. These are the largest providers of history reports in the nation, Carfax and auto check. We use them both. Some car dealerships use one or the other. We learned a long time ago we want to make sure we have the information on both of them because every once in a while, maybe 1 out of 100 cars will have different information on one versus the other. And that's not always things like accidents. We're talking about service histories. We're talking about how many titles have been issued. We're talking about what type of vehicle was it? Was it a government-used vehicle? Was it a rental car? Was it a lease car? Was it a one-owner private individual car? These are all things that I can give you the information for at no charge. Right now, it costs about $42 to run a Carfax report, and it costs about $25 to do an auto check. At Frontier Motors, we will do these at no charge for you. And a lot of time, and the nice thing about the Carfax now, Carfax has a little program that when you pull up the Carfax on the computer, it actually tells you an average selling price in our area. Sometimes that can be spot on. Sometimes it's high or low. Again, that's when we give you our opinion if that value that we see on the Carfax report or the value that the banker gives you is the correct value or if it's not. A lot of times the NEDA book might be way higher than what reality is, especially on luxury cars. It might give you a $45,000 price, but I might be able to sell that car to you for $41,000 or $40,000 because sometimes the books are exaggerated and they're not in tune with the market. The other thing we also do is we give you free advice. Now, when I'm talking about free advice, there's a lot of things that we can help you with if you're in the car market or even if you're not. For example, you might not be in the car market if your car got hit at a stoplight. Somebody ran a light and crashed your car, and maybe it's totaled, maybe it's not. So how can we help you? Well, number one, we can tell you if it is totaled, what should you get from the insurance company? And most of the time we use the NEDA book. So we give you an NEDA value. We also add in the taxes because a lot of people forget that the insurance company has to reimburse you for the state taxes. Because if you go and buy a car, especially if you come back to Frontier Motors and buy a car, if it's a $20,000 car, you're going to be subject to about 6.5% taxes. They also should reimburse you whatever costs to transfer a tag and to do a new registration, which a lot of people don't know. Now, some dealerships charge a setup fee and a dock fee and a get ready fee. They won't pay for that because that's just additional profit. But we can kind of run you through that so that you get the proper dollar amount from the insurance company. Some insurance companies try to use what they call comps. Those are comparables in a certain area. And for some reason, they always try to go with the least expensive comps they can find. So they can say, well, there's a car like this being sold in Montgomery, and it's $2,000 cheaper than the book value. But I can do comps the other way, where I can give you comps that are way over the price that I would quote you. So I can help you to make sure that you get a fair price, that you can use that money to actually replace the car that you've lost. The other thing we can also help you with, what if that car is a newer car and somebody did run the light, but it's not totaled? But you have $10,000 of damage and the car is not totaled. Well, you should be due money for what we call in the car industry and the insurance industry diminished value. And diminished value is something that they don't tell you about, but that you can get extra money because you know what's going to happen. Let's say that you have a BMW and it's a 2015 BMW and the car costs $40,000. You just had $10,000 worth of damage. So on that Carfax report, within this certain period of time, it might be 2 weeks, it might be 3 weeks, it might be a month, it might be 4 days. They're going to get that information that your car's been in an accident. And they're going to say accident reported, major damage reported, vehicle had to be towed, airbags were deployed. Well, what does that do to the value of your car? It kills it. Now, how much does it kill it? Well, we give you an opinion on that. And what I would consider a professional opinion, we have 5 appraisers at Frontier Motors that all they do all day long is appraise cars for people. So they're pretty good at it of giving you what we consider a diminished value, because I always look at it that if you were trading the car into me and it had a major accident, how would I appraise that car? I wouldn't tell you I can't take it in trade. Because it's been an accident, of course we can take it in trade. But I'm going to reduce the value of that car where it becomes a good deal for my prospect. And I'm going to disclose it to my prospect. We put all of our Carfax and auto checks in the glove box of every car that we sell before it's sold. We also unlock those cars on the lot every single morning so that you don't have to ask for a Carfax report. You can sit in the car, open the glove box, and both reports will be in there. And if the car's been in an accident, it'll say accident reported. If it's a car that we've taken in trade, we get the history of the accident. And we tell you, yes, we knew that it had an accident. This is where they had it fixed. Matter of fact, a lot of times the car's still under warranty by the body shop that fixes it. Because they give you a certain, sometimes it's 3 years, sometimes it's 1 year, sometimes it's 5 years. Some body shops, I even heard lifetime warranty because people are always worried about if it's factory paint or not. You know, the paint flaking off 5 years after they do it. So I've seen some body shops give you a lifetime warranty. That means the life of the car or the life of your life.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Good point.
Whoever expires first, maybe. But anyways, these are things that we can tell you so that I can give you a letter of diminished value. We've helped hundreds of people since I've been advertising this that come on the lot and they come back and they thank us. And one way they thank us is when they get that money. When they're ready to trade, they give us a shot at their business. And that's what this whole thing is about. We are not talking about selling everybody a car in Pensacola. We just want to get a chance to sell everybody a car. Sometimes we lose a deal because of the color of the car. Sometimes it's because you want a manual transmission versus an automatic transmission. I had this happen the other day with a Corvette where I bought an automatic transmission Corvette, a Stingray. The guy came in and said, man, I'd buy this car if it was a stick. Or it's the opposite, where I'll buy the stick shift thinking I'll find somebody that wants a sports car with a stick. And I said, man, my wife can't drive a stick, so she wants an automatic. So every once in a while you will lose a deal. We very rarely ever lose one on price. And that's one of the things that I can say that I'm proud, because I do most of the buying, not all the buying. I do have some buyers that work with me, but I do most of the buying because I want to make sure that when I get that car on the lot, if it's not the least expensive one, we have a program called Price Driver, by the way, that tells me every car like the one I'm trying to sell. Let's use a 14 Corvette Stingray. So I can plug in 500 miles, and that's a big circle. So it could be 500 miles this way and 500. That could be 1,000 mile spread from one coast to the other coast. It'll tell me every 14 model Corvette Stingray that's for sale and the different levels of that car, because they make an LT1, LT2, and LT3. So I can tell you I've got an LT3 Stingray with 15,000 miles on, and let's just say I'm asking $45,000 for. And at that point, it'll tell me what the other people are selling the car for. So getting back to what I was saying, is if it's not the least expensive one at $45,000, I'm going to make sure that I have the highest contented car, which what I mean by that is navigation, heads-up display, dual power seats, electric start, a backup sensor, backup camera, that all my features on that car, or it's the lowest mileage one, which miles is a big deal to most people. It is to me. If I sell a car with 15,000 miles, for example, it's going to bring more than a car like that that's got 25,000 miles on, because that's almost a year's worth of driving. The other thing that people don't put enough emphasis in when they're doing internet shopping is condition. And even our black wholesale books have 3 levels of condition: rough, average, above average, and excellent. But you know what? The NADA books don't. My NADA book gives you one price. So that's the banker book now. When I talk about NADA, I'm not talking about the one on the internet. There is an NADA guidebook on the internet, which, don't ask me why our bankers don't use it. They use an official guide which just gives you one price. That car could be a complete rat. It could be a 15-owner car with 4 accidents. If the book says it's $30,000, it's $30,000. Now, everybody here knows, that's listening or watching the show, knows that you would pay more for a 1-owner clean car versus a 15-owner bad-looking car. But the books are the same. And that's why when you go on the internet and you see a car for sale, let's say it's $30,000, and then let's say we had that car for sale for $31,000, and you say, well, I see one in Miami. I see that Corvette in Miami for $30,000. But what you can't see is the condition of the car. Has it been smoked in? Isn't that a big deal to most people? Even smokers don't want smoke smell in their car. Don't ask me why. I always find that kind of ironic. I have that. I had a guy outside that wanted me to do a locate, so he had to go outside, Don, and excuse himself because he had to have a cigarette.
Right.
And he said, oh, by the way, I don't want a smoker's car.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of funny.
And if you would like to ask Iven Streckel a question, we can arrange that. You give us a call, 478-3116. We've got about 16, 17 minutes left in today's show. This is the Frontier Motor Show on News Talk 1370 WCOA. We call it Talk at 10 because it's in the 10 o'clock hour. Give us a call. You want to get a price, you want to get a value, whatever it takes, call us, 478-3116. Ivan?
Thanks, Don. One of the things we also discuss on this show every single time we do it, because Frontier Motors is an independent dealer, which means that we're not a franchise dealership, which means we're not allowed to sell brand new cars. Even though, on a side note, I do have to tell you, I have a Mitsubishi Outlander on the lot right now with 26 miles. I have a Ford Transit Connect cargo van that has 380 miles on it. We have a Mercedes Sprinter cargo van diesel with 500 miles on it. We have a Mazda 3 with 800 miles. We have a GMC Acadia with 900 miles. The list goes on and on of low mileage cars. But again, because we're an independent dealer, I cannot sell these cars as brand new cars. For example, the Mitsubishi Outlander, Pete Moore is a local Mitsubishi dealer. He'd be pretty upset if I started telling people I sell brand new Mitsubishis. And I was able to buy about 10 of these vehicles with some of them as low as 6 and 7 miles on. We talked about in the last show, Don. They're all sold except for this Outlander. We sold every one. And I have to sell them as used because we are not a dealer, a franchise dealership. We're an independent dealership. And the advantage of being an independent dealership, and one of the reasons I got into the used car end of this 21 years ago, and I used to be in the new car end of it for almost 21 years. So half my time was spent selling new cars. Well, one of the things that always embarrassed me is when I sold a new car, and one of the franchises we had was Cadillac. When I sold a Cadillac, and the customer would buy the car from us, and let's just say it was a $50,000 Cadillac, he would come back 6 months later and say, "Man, Ivan, I wish I would have bought that 4-door. This 2-door just isn't working out. I want to trade my 2-door in for a 4-door." Well, and the car had 5,000 miles on it, and it's 6 months old. And I have to tell him the good news, or I should say the bad news, of depreciation. And depreciation is huge. First-year depreciation on the average, according to Consumer Reports, is 27%. Matter of fact, one of the talk show gurus that talks about money a lot is Dave Ramsey, and he actually talked about this on one of the last shows that we did. Let me play it for you.
Hey, Pensacola, Dave Ramsey here. Just a reminder, when you're in the market for a car or a truck, go see my friends at Frontier Motors. They specialize in late model, low mileage cars that will save you thousands over new. Last year, Consumer Reports reported that a new car depreciates 27% after 1 year. Unless you're a millionaire, it's senseless not to take advantage of the savings you can get from buying a pre-owned vehicle at Frontier Motors. For Frontier Motors does more than just sell cars. They're also the go-to dealers for free advice. If you need a Carfax report, just ask them. Need an appraisal on your car? Just ask them. Need to know what you should get from the insurance company if your car is damaged or totaled? No problem at all. Frontier Motors. Any questions about the car buying or selling process, just give them a call. Advice is always free at Frontier Motors, located at 230 Beverly Parkway. And don't forget to tell them Dave Ramsey sent you.
It's kind of funny. He just said in 1 minute what I've been taking 15 minutes to say, but all the different free advice. But the main thing that I wanted to play about the Dave Ramsey spot is that he does not give new car dealerships a commercial like this. What he does is he actually picked out Frontier Motors in our area, and he came to us and he said, "I would like to do a spot for you."
Right.
And he picked out Frontier. I did not call him. Matter of fact, I wasn't going to do any advertising with him. Not with him, but with the particular radio show that sponsors Dave. And I said, "No, I'm not interested." So Dave did a spot for nothing for us, and it was fantastic. And I didn't really realize how big he was until people started coming in and say, "Hey, Dave Ramsey sent me. Hey, Dave
That's
Ramsey
right.
sent me." You know, so he obviously has a lot of clout. One of the things that he does is he tell you he doesn't do it just for the commercial, but even on his show he says, "I wouldn't buy a new car." He doesn't buy new cars. What he does, he takes advantage of that 27% depreciation. Now, just so you know, folks, if you're listening to the show for the first time, don't come into Frontier Motors and say, "I want to save 27% on a one-year car," because that's an average. I sold a Corolla, I think it was 2 months ago. It had about 5 miles on it. I saved the gentleman that bought the vehicle about $2,500. It wasn't the average depreciation is $7,000, $9,200 is the average depreciation in the first year. If you don't know what the average are, the average new car sold is $35,000 last year. So if you take that and multiply it by 27%, it comes into approximately $9,200 depreciation. Now, if I had that car on my lot and I bought it for $9,200 less, even if I marked it up $3,000, you would still save on the average $6,200. If I marked it up $2,000, you'd save $7,200. And then don't forget you pay less taxes because you just saved $7,200. Now you save another 6.5% of that. Our dock fee that we charge at Frontier Motors is less than almost everybody in town, so you're going to save money there. We don't charge an electronic filing fee. There's a lot of fees that we don't charge at Frontier Motors and some new car dealerships do. So the advantages that we have is that the cars are like new and they smell like brand new, but you don't pay the new car price. And even if, I had this happen a lot with some people that I talk to that say, "Well, I'd never buy a used car. I only buy new because I don't want somebody else's headache." Folks, these are cars that are still in their factory warranty, that have clean history reports, that have never been in an accident, they haven't been smoked in. A lot of these cars are one-owner lease return cars. Some people lease cars for a year and they change their mind, so they hand the car in early. I've had cars on a lot that have been like 4 months old. And for whatever reason, the customer that purchased the car didn't like the car. I always use the example of a 2-door, and then now the guy's going to have twins. Well, it ain't going to work. Try to put car seats in the back of a 2-door car is a pain in the butt. So what do? They go back to the dealership, they trade it in. Well, now that new car dealer has a car on the lot that might have 4,000 miles on, but it's competing with their new car. So believe it or not, they take that car to auction and sell it and take that money and buy new cars with it. Because that's what they do. When you pay for a franchise, your whole claim to fame is selling new cars. Now, I know they sell used cars at new car dealerships, but that's not the number one thing they do. The number one thing they do is sell new cars. And they sell new cars because they also get all the service work and all the warranty work from those new cars. So a lot of dealerships actually have the overhead. A lot of dealerships are paid for by the service department because they get money for doing warranty work and they get money for all the service after the warranty is over with all the service work they do with the customer. So these are things that we talk about at Frontier Motors that I think we can help you with. There's other things also. For example, if you don't have time to find your own car, we've got a great locate program where we sit down with you. We fill out a sheet. It's a locate sheet. It says the year, the make, the model of what you're looking for. And then we tell you what we can buy you a car like that for. And I've got a customer right now that is looking for a Lexus GX 470. So what I'm doing is I gave them a price on the vehicle. They gave me the maximum amount of miles they want. Obviously, I'm going to buy this car with the understanding that if it passes inspection, we have a deal. But it's done on a handshake. They don't sign anything, and they don't give me any money. Just their word that as long as I find the car for them, that we have a deal. Keep the money in Pensacola. You got Eastern Shore, you got all these other dealers, and I always tell people, I says, get the information from outside the area, then take that to your local dealer. In this case, we're talking Toyota. Go to Toyota and say, hey, I found this car over in Atlanta. I found it in Montgomery. I found it in Orlando. I found it over at Eastern Shore, but I want to buy right here in Pensacola. So you get all that information, you get the best deal out of these, and that will give you a price over the phone, maybe not over the phone as much as on the internet, because everybody internet shops now. So you get the best price, and you walk into your local dealer, and you say, hey, this is what I want. This is how much I want to spend for the car. Almost all the time they'll do it. I have people say, well, I bought a car over in Fort Walton. I said, well, why'd you do that? Well, they gave me a better deal. I said, well, you didn't talk to the right person. Mm-hmm. If you talk to the general manager of the dealership, and you tell them, I can buy a car outside of the area for this much, no trade-in, so there's no back and forth, it's cut and dry. And folks, if the list price of the car is $37,000 and has the same equipment, it's going to be $37,000 no matter where you go. The cost is the same. So there should be no difference. You walk in the dealership and say, I want it for this price. In this particular case, what I've got is an Avalon with 1,300 miles. So you would go to Bob Tyler, for example, look at a brand new 17 and ask him, what's your bottom line out the door price? And then you compare it to mine. Now, if there's only $1,000 or $2,000 difference, I'm the first one to tell you, go buy the brand new one. Now, the one I have happens to be like a charcoal color, and maybe you don't like charcoal, but what if I saved you $5,000? A lot of times I can convince a customer to take the wrong color for the right price. And some people you can't, like the person on the Mercedes I'm talking about, they want white. They don't. If I had a silver one, they would
no customer,
go pound
no
sale.
sale.
No sale. So these are the things that we can do on a locate program for you. And we're talking about, this Avalon with 1,300 miles on it. I got a Honda Accord. The Honda is, Pensacola Honda is building a brand new, beautiful building. So I definitely would say go there because it's beautiful. They actually even have an air-conditioned service department. I've never heard that before.
Wow.
The mechanics must love that. So, which is unheard of. And I have an Accord on the lot that has 1,331 miles on it. So I would say, well, look at their price on a new one. You don't have to get mad at anybody. I don't get mad if you buy a brand new car. I just try to buy these cars for enough of a break in depreciation where I can convince someone like yourself when you're ready for a new car to stop in a Frontier Motors and let's see what we can save you. And a lot of times with 1,300 miles, it has to be $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000. And if it is, people say, wow, the car looks like brand new, smells brand new, no issues. It's still under factory warranty. They will do the warranty no matter where you buy. Don't forget, folks, the service department gets between $100 and $150 an hour to work on a car under warranty. So they don't care where you bought it. Service department opens their doors and say, come on in. I'm getting rich here servicing these cars if they have issues. Now, the reason you buy a Honda is because they're not supposed to have any issues, but that's just another example. Now, one other thing we can help you with also, if you've got a car and you want to sell it, we have a great program where we buy cars from private individuals like yourself. So don't put it on Craigslist. Don't put it on Auto Trader or eBay. Drive it to Frontier Motors and give us 15 minutes. We're going to take the car around the block. We're going to scan the ID number, put it in our system. Within 15 minutes, I can get you a check for your car if it's paid off. Of course, if it's not paid off, I'll call the bank and find out how much you owe, and then you get the difference. But within 15 minutes, I can say, here's what I'll write you a check for. And people are surprised the dollar amount is very fair. A lot of people think that when you go to a car dealership to get a price for your car, you're going to get under wholesale value. I pay over wholesale value to a private individual because I would rather buy it from a private individual than an auction, because then I can talk to you. I can find out, where'd you have the oil change? Are there any issues? Are you a smoker? Did you buy the car brand new? Has the car been in an accident? I can look the person in the face and get all that information. That way, when I sell it, I disclose the car properly. So I would rather buy it from a private individual, and that's why I'll pay more. And don't forget, I don't have to pay for shipping. I don't have to pay a buyer. So I can actually pay more than wholesale because you're bringing me the car. Now, let's just say I offer you $20,000 for your car, and you say, Ivan, that's a fair price. I know wholesale is around 18, 19. You're giving me 20, but I really think I could sell this car for 21 or 22. So I want my own share. So what I'll do is I'll offer you consignment. I'll normally go between $1,000 to $1,500 more on consignment because I don't have to tie up my cash. So I get 2 cars for the price of 1. And I don't have to worry about the market changing. Don't remember, one of the things that I always tell a person when I offer you $20,000, if that car drops in value $1,000 next month, which don't forget, the books come out every single month. And sometimes they drop more than that. I had a Highline Jaguar last month that dropped $3,000 in 1 month. What does that do to the profit situation? It does a lot. So what I do, once I buy that car and write that check, you don't have to worry if it drops in value. But I'll do a consignment. I'll give you a little bit more money. I don't charge anything. The way that I make money is anything over, if it happens to be $21,000, anything over 21 is mine. So if I sell it for $21,700 or $21,800, I make $800. It's still better than nothing. It has to be a good deal for everybody, folks. It has to be a good deal where you, the person that owns the car, doesn't have to do any of the work and still gets a decent price. It has to be a good deal for me where I can make a profit, and it has to be a good deal for my customer buying the car that I'm not overcharging because it's consignment. There's a lot of times where I have to pass on a consignment because the person that owns the car just wants too much money for it. And then I'll tell you, you'll have to sell that car yourself. And 5 weeks later, 2 months later, they come back and say, well, will you still buy the car for me? Well, of course I will. But guess what? The price just dropped $2,000. And that's what happens a lot, especially if it's an expensive car. So anyways, we only have a couple of minutes left, folks. We've got a great Facebook page, so just type in Facebook, Frontier Motors, and up we come. And we've got our salespeople on there. We've got a great YouTube. Matter of fact, this show that we're recording for Blab TV right now is going to be on YouTube in a couple of days, so you can watch it. And if you don't know what I look like, not that anybody cares, but if you are bored out of your mind, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you might want to turn us on. And also to remind everybody that we do have 350, I think this morning we had 342 cars, which puts us about 60 cars short of our goal to purchase. So if you got a car to sell, please bring it to us. Let us appraise it for you. That's Frontier Motors, 230 Beverly Parkway. Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching. Have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.
Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay. Come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier. We got the right price. Frontier. We'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead.